The $20 jeans, $100 shirt, that's not the uniform to get this job. Come back, have black pants, gray pants, and a shirt. If you do a tie, it's a plus, making those little small steps. And I've done this with a few young men. They came back, that work. Even like going with the court system is a rule. Don't go on the court with jeans on, that kind of stuff. So there are rules, unwritten rules that we have to teach our young people to follow. Okay, and once they may get a job, okay, now you gotta keep the job. You gotta come on time. You say don't talk on cell phones, don't talk on cell phones. And I find a lot of young people aren't able to deal with being told, receiving directives. So those are some of the things that we have to work with them before they enter. Really before they go to school, before they enter Head Start or kindergarten, some of those basic things.
Okay, so but I hear what you're saying. We got to teach them when they're young,
nurture
them in those things.
Yes.
But what do we do with those that have not been nurtured, that don't have these skills? They're not, they get up and all of a sudden they realize, wow, there's a different world out there. It's not about me anymore.
Exactly.
What do we do?
We have to try to reach them and not try to do it in the prison system. We have to try to catch them. And when they come on the interview, sometimes I meet young men at different places I work. They come in not prepared, and I take the time and teach them. Come back and try this, this way. Yeah, sometimes that one-on-one mentoring, that one-on-one information, it may sink, it may not. You may plant a seed, you may not even see the seed that you planted. It may come out manifest itself somewhere else. But we have to begin to talk, and not to them, to our children, to our young people, and not just shun away or just, maybe criticize, because they get that a lot.
So, but where is our patience, our endurance, our long suffering with those that are hard, those that have been hurt so badly that they're not ready to trust anyone? How do you reach them?
Okay, Kevin.
Well, preparation, at least for me, I think preparation is a big key. Granted, we really have to prepare these kids today. Granted, our parents prepared us in a certain way. There was some of the same values you guys just talking about. If your father had the lawnmower on, you got 10 minutes to be outside. Okay, so today, and preparing the kids today and educating them. Not just like you said, not in the prison system. We have to reach them before they get to that point. Even in the high schools today, depends on some of the vocational schools, some of the vocational courses that's offered. So a lot of the vocational and essential courses that were offered previously are no longer in the school system. Some of the school system may have brick mason, carpentry. We have to get back to some of those, because not every child, not every kid, boy or girl, is going to go to college. Not everybody is college material. And granted, what society is looking at our kids for is to go in the military. And especially during wartime now, is that something that we really want for our kids? Granted, we want them to have to get a good education, but we also want them to have a sound foundation of having a trade, having a skill, of being able to go out there and do something for themselves. So, preparation, preparing them, and teaching them at the same time. With that, but we have to get them to their point before they go out and apply for a job. We have to have seminars. Okay, we have to do some mock seminars. Okay, how are you going to dress? How are you going to prepare? Are you going to eat breakfast before you go to your or lunch before you go to your interview? How are you going to dress? How are you going to look and everything? How are you going to sit? You're going to go up there like this and like this or whatever. And how are you going to talk? To a potential employer and everything. So all of that is going to have to be taught, and all of that is going to take time, because not everybody is going to be ready up front to go to a job interview. It may take 6 months. It may take 9 months, but I'd rather take that time with the individual to teach them now, so in 6 months, 9 months, or in a year's time, they're well trained, they're well prepared for that job that they're really seeking. If the individual has a liking, have a skill, and has the knowledge and something that he really wants to do, he or she will prepare himself for that. I really think, and just seeing, because, you know, looking back on myself, my first real job, when I came out of college in 1983, I was making $4.44 an hour. And I said, I got a college degree making $4.44. I said, this is not right. I took the job. I kept it for a year before I moved on. You know, but it prepared me for something better at the same time also. You know, and from that point on, you know, and that's what you have to instill. And not just relying on what someone gives you. Yes, I'll work there for a year, or it could be anybody. You take what you can learn from that job, and I'll tell anybody today, you know, currently I work in district government, but I would love, and I'm doing some of it now, taking it and building on and trying to do something else, teaching somebody else, you know, start your own business.
Yes, that's it.
You know, because where, you know, insurances are today, Medicaid, Medicare, these other government plans, the other entities that they're looking at, you know, nothing is promised. But if you obtain a skill, start your own business of some kind. It can be anything. You know, but this is something that we have to have the knowledge and have to teach others at the same time. You know, I have a 21-year-old son. He's in college right now. But back when he was in junior high school, you know, he didn't want to work, you know, and, you know, I said, oh no. Even during the summertime, I said, you know, we live in this area. I said, I got a lawnmower out the back.
Yeah, you can do something.
I said, you don't even have to go out to the community.
Yeah.
Go around, knock on some doors, and say, Miss So-and-so, will cut your yard every 2 weeks for $20 or $10. You know, make yourself a little schedule. I think he did it for the first year, first summer or two. But you know, then I did the job. But you know, but you have to show them at the same time also. It may not be something that they want to do, but you know, but at that point in time, it's not what you want to do. Something that you have to do at that point in time also.
Myself, I lived two lives when it came to parenting, because early on my grandmother raised me from the time I was born until I was like 7, and my grandmother loved me, and when they say love you to death, I couldn't do nothing wrong in her sight. And she died when I was 14. From the time from 14 on, I was solely governed by my mom, who running stuff with a steel hammer. You know, she's not going for nothing. So I know that we have two type of kids that become those angry kids, right? You have those who get too much loving, and then you get those who don't get nothing. You know what I'm saying? And they can turn out the same way. They can be in the same system. And you be like, well, hold on, this one right here, he came up in a nice house. They ain't get no consequences. This one right here, he ain't get no love. Everything was just, you know, you know what I mean? And it seems like that's the same results. I've been working in the field, in the recovery field for a while. And I know with my story and the stories I hear on a regular basis, that something has to happen, a jolt. It has to be something, sometimes like an atomic blast in their life. It changes the course of the people's lives. You know, because something dramatic to happen, you know, and that's sad, but usually that's what the turning point comes. So I feel that, what about those kids that we don't catch early on? There should be no cutoff limit, you know, because I was in my late 20s, you know, I'm not older than that now. And when I made a change in my life, you know, start going down a different path. But it took what it took, and it took some praying and some faith, and most of all, it took some consequences. Because I had no consequences to my behaviors. I wonder what I'm going to change for. if every time I'm doing something wrong and I get rewarded, like a lot of these kids now, especially the young boys, you know what I'm saying? They just get pampered all the way to the grave.
What do you say to a man who is just coming out of prison, going back to what we talked about earlier, coming out of prison, you know, while he was in jail, he got a certificate, and he gets out, and he thinks he's going to get a job, and then he doesn't get a job.
And I know that you two have all came back to that. I was that man. I was that man that y'all talking about. That's what, you know, that's why I wanted to come here today, because I'm so passionate about helping that man. Because that man didn't get the help, you know. And what happens is, my dad lived around the corner. And he had a nice house, and he raised other kids that he had with his new wife, and I was an outcast. I would try to go around there and be loved by him, and he treated me like he didn't want to be bothered. So I understand what those kids going through. You know, but what happened was that I came and got some assistance and stuff, and my life changed around now that I'm doing what John was talking about. Now I'm passionate about helping that man, the ones that we miss, because you're not gonna catch everybody early in detective. There's gonna be some that slip through. What we do we give up on them? No, because they can make an impact too. Because it's going to be some of those, you know, and that's why I'm so passionate about it. You know, but the honest piece is what's really out the window. You know, so the honest piece is out the window. And that don't give the people, you know, like, those men have trust issues. Because everybody they trust dogged them. You know, the people supposed to protect them shunned them, like Mr. Davis was talking about. So what do you do with those people? They hurt, but they don't know how to say, I'm hurt. So why they say I'm hurt is to say, I'll show you, I'll hurt me. You know what I'm saying? Because they're looking for
it. Don't stop at just that certificate. It's used as a jump start. Now let's try to get into maybe a university. If you're going to do culinary arts, you know, a lot of your brothers are coming out with cooking certificates in prison. Okay, let's get into maybe culinary art school. And maybe go out and start attending different food shows. You know, there's always some kind of food show. And you got to network, you know, go out and start meeting people. Tell people who you are. And get involved. People won't know who you are unless you're somewhere. You got to be somewhere. So, brother get out of jail, you got a certificate and go back to the living room and play PlayStation, then you're not going to get it.
That's right.
You know, so you got to develop those skills. You got to learn how to network, sell yourself. You know, and a lot of brothers come out barbering. I told one young man, he was a good barber, and I told him, I said, well, look, I met with him one time. I said, can you cut other ethnicities' hair? Can you cut Caucasian people's hair? And next 2 weeks I came back and saw him. He said, I got something to show you. He went and got a little white guy who was an inmate. He showed me his haircut. I said, all right, cool. And I took a step further. I said, look, why don't you look at this? I said, I know a guy, he's a barber. I said, when you get out, that may not work. I said, think about maybe being a dog groomer. He said, yeah, you know, right, because hair, that's hair. You know? Yeah. So I'm just saying, sometimes we look at the big things, sometimes we got to break it down and look at little other things that we could do. We got this skill. So you're like, you know what, I'm going to pursue that. You know. So, and, you know, the brother wound up doing the grooming, and he got set up in Baton Rouge, as in Louisiana, cutting hair. Then he started boarding dogs. Little baby steps. So those kind of things, you know, sometimes we have to help them by empowering them, giving them that guide, and sometimes engage them, ask fundamental questions. Sometimes that what needs to happen, you know. So those things like that is a way of assisting young men when they're coming out of jail, how to find a job, or how to begin to develop those skills. Okay. Giving them a map.
Okay, you were saying, Lionel?
To piggyback on what Randolph said, just, 10/11, last week, there's a young man in our facility, and he just finished culinary arts school. Okay. And I've seen 2 or 3 go through that school in our facility. And so this young man, not too young, but I said to myself, it's about us. We always say give back. It ain't about giving back. It's a giving that you have to carry on this next group of men.
Yeah.
It's a given. I mean, it's a given. So my thing is, I took upon myself is, go to the Nats game, there are 102 vendors that serve food. So Monday, Tuesday, I'm calling the Nats, and I'm going to find out, hey, how can I get this man for next year's?
Yeah.
Set him up,
There you go.
interview right there. I mean, that's what we here for. You know, I used to work in the defense industry, work with an inert object, killing people all the time. And my faith, whatever it was, hit me and said, hold up, we doing something wrong. I grew up in, we played Army all the time. Out there, and I'm playing real Army. The weapons I'm building, I see the tests, and they killing everything in the world. I said, oh, this ain't for me. Something hit me in my foundation. I grew up and said that I shouldn't be doing that. I need to be working with human beings.
Yeah.
And that part of that is to come full fruition. And what I did, with this young man, what I'm going to do. And I said, that's what I have to do. And then 2 weeks ago, I had a meet and greet with the president of Bowens College. It's an HBCU down in South Carolina. Really, Denmark, my father's hometown. Grew up through all that. And he talked to us, as soon as I walk in the door, you guys are talking about the young men that come down to the college, they get into college, and then they don't understand the attributes for going out from college, getting an interview. While you're in college, they have programs, the ceremonies, where young men need to dress in a suit and tie. Now, just this year, he told one young man, they explained the event, we're going to want you in your best. One young man came to the event with yellow hat, yellow gym shorts, yellow t-shirt, and a shirt. And he said, Dr. Sell said, we told you to come in here. This is my best, Dr. Sell. So Dr. Sell is in the list with me and other people that belong to college. I'm like, can you get a suit for these young men? Just open up a closet. We have it at our place. We call it Macy's. Right there. RPC, right in the closet. The men that they never knew about, what it takes. And just in that little setting, that could set that young man on the right course. When it's time for an interview, he understands what it takes to get an interview. You got to look like that person across the room from you when you go in an interview. The paper is the first part. That'll get you in the door. We have to prepare them for that. How to do that. But once you get in the door, you got to concentrate on yourself, but come across as a person that can be an attribute for that company. So the first thing is a suit, and then your education. And we know we're getting the education there at the college. We can always go. But the president takes a little step extra. It's about the person, and I see that full circle. Sometimes he has to intervene and come in and sit down with a young man. And we talk mostly about young men. Sit down with them and find out what's going on in them, in their lives. At that level, at college level. You don't get too much of that one-on-one attention. College, you're supposed to be prepared from high school to come into a situation and function, be able to function. But he felt that this is a need. These students portray Belize once they go on, and they have some very distinguished alumni. They have ventured all over this world, and the training is for global. And for me, it takes heart too, because 3 or 4 years ago, I had a meeting just like this with a group of men, and we formed a group called the Men's Forum, and we decided to adopt a school for young boys. And the school started with kindergarten, and now it's up to 3rd grade. Kindergarten, pre-kindergarten, because we sat around and we saw the data, how many of our young men incarcerated. We saw how many drop out. And we were looking around the table, you know, and going, what is going on? And the picture came back to us. We didn't blame TV. We didn't blame news. You know, it was the men in our community that we grew up. We're the problem. And only we can solve the problem. I hate the baggy pants. I hate all that. So we got to solve the problem. So we adopted a school, really a school, the Bishop Walker School for Boys. Just started, and we said this would be great. You start these young boys out in a foundation, and the key with this school is tuition free, and it's East of Anacostia, off Martin Luther King Avenue. Tuition free. Okay. The first year, we were begging for parents bringing their kids in. We got 12 boys and 12 parents. They had to sign an agreement, a commitment with the school, with the Diocese of Washington, the principal Diocese of Washington, that they would participate. And from that first pre-kindergarten class, the next year, they were knocking down the door to get them in. Today, we had a ceremony October the 4th at the cathedral. We inducted the third year class and the new board of trustees. There's 65 young kids. And from there, we build the foundation. These young boys are learning how to function in classroom, but preparing them for globally, to compete globally in the world. First class education, function fully. They're black teachers. Their executive director is black. All those components in place. But the number one component was love. And I didn't understand myself. These young boys are dealing with things that are unbelievable. Single parents, right? One household parent, some no household parents. You know, some no. And I was stunned at how could a 6-year-old grapple with no food on the table, no mother, no father, grandparents. Some, it was just unfathomable. They would come to school, they would go through the structure of school during the week, and everything was fine. And then on Saturday and Sunday, Father said, I'm going to come pick you up. And he never shows up. So Monday, you have a young boy that is totally frustrated and torn. That's where I started to understand the same thing is with a high school. When you're in high school and you've grown 8-9 years without a father, you're angry. Because the other kids in the class go home to a father. They go to a Redskin game. They go to a football. Even just to go out together, go shopping. So that anger is there at high school. So you feel, I'm not wanted there. And that's where the spiral starts. It starts at such a young age. So I had to get educated in this. And I see this, as a problem that, like I say, black men need to take upon themselves. And that's why
man at this point?
No.
Is it too late? Is it?
Never too late.
Yeah, one of the things I do too on Fridays, I go into a jail and talk to young men, and that's one of their questions, to come home with their past record and find a job. That's one of the biggest dilemmas. They feel like, one of my questions for one of the programs I was working at was, why do we keep sending them back home? And the answer to that is, we don't have any money to send them anywhere else. So they're going to probably go back to where it all started, where their older brother got guns in the house and drugs in the house, where their mother is smoking crack. But we're going to expect that they do something different. And that's not a reality. It's a real hard reality to send a young man right back into his environment that created him and think that he's going to do something different. So often my suggestion to most of them is to try to find somewhere else to go to start all over. I don't care if it's around the corner, I don't care where it is, but for me anyway, if I go right back into the lion's den, I'm probably going to fight the lion. You know, and that's what happens when you go right back into the same environment. You fight the forces that be. While everybody else is laying up in their luxury homes talking about those people down there, you stuck down there with those people. You got to defend yourself and you got to live. So, but what Lionel was talking about, and what all of us I think is talking about, is it really comes back to us standing up and us educating people, not so much as with the same system that's crippling them, but with a different system. I told most of the young men yesterday when I was leaving the jail that the biggest key to all of this is to start trying to help somebody else. One of the things that I'm finding out in my journey is that because people helped me, it makes me want to help people. You know, because people help me, it makes me want to help people. So that's what I'm banking on. I'm banking on the more I try to help these young men that's trapped in this vicious cycle, the more that I try to help them, that somehow it makes them see that the benefit is not getting help, but the benefit is helping people behind you. And I think that's the big issue. I'm in the process of trying to start this program, and the biggest thing is we need to help. It's almost like anywhere you go, like people help like people. So for me to get out of that crab basket and not try to send something back in the basket to help some other crabs get out, I think that's the biggest curse that we do. We get away from it, then we never go back and help anybody. You know, we ride off into the sunset, we get our degrees, we get our good jobs, we get our good families, and then we watch the news and say, those poor people down there. You know, I think that's one of the biggest problems that we face. So if we start creating jobs and we start our own businesses, that's why I constantly try to start businesses, hoping that I can employ. That's what I want to do. I want to be in a position that we need to be in a position that we can employ. Because it looks like they're not going to do it, whoever they are. It looks like they're not going to do it, you know. And why would they when the results are always appear to be the same? You help this guy that just came home from jail and he rips you off. So most people, they have that fear factor. Why would I want to help him? His record speaks for itself. He's been in and out of prison all his life. And this is the stuff I talk about to the inmates, because it starts with the individual themselves. And then you reach back out and you hope that you touch some other people. It's like you don't learn this, you catch it. It's not something you learn. You catch this. You catch the desire to uplift your race. You catch the desire to uplift the people that you see falling. You don't learn it. You can read all the books in the world. You won't learn. You won't learn how to care about other people. And the first thing I'm learning is that people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. You can talk all you want to a group of people, and if you don't care about them, they don't really want to hear it.
So we want to switch a little bit. We want to talk this time about impact of untreated mental illnesses.
I'll start off. The impact, I feel the impact of untreated mental illness. You know, this too also goes back to the socioeconomic of society, because what happens is if you have individuals, the illnesses are untreated, what ends up happening? It goes back and they're back into the system. They fall back. The same cycle that you were talking about all over again. And so what has to happen is we have to create opportunities to alleviate them from going back into the system. And in order to do that, then they will have benefits. They can have more meaningful employment. That way they will have the benefits and able to seek treatment, seek a more professional assistance that correlates with them in being treated professionally and being treated rightfully at the same time also. I also want to touch on just on the poverty piece, because that impacts it also. when you have kids growing up in foster homes, in the system, they're in DYRS, they're in CFSA, they're in the mental health system, they're in the prison population. All of this contributes to their, just to their living, their likening, and what they see as probably being right and the only way for them. So with that, we have to change, and it goes back to stigmatizing, all of it. It's just going to touch base on each component of it. As we just have to educate them, continue to educate them rightfully, thoroughly at the same time. Empowering them at the same time too, because an individual will feel or have more self-worth if he is able to empower himself first. You have to feel good about yourself first before anybody's going to do anything, or you feel that somebody is not helping you. If you feel good about yourself, but that too also has to be taught. If no one teaches the individual, or he doesn't see it from anybody else, then where's he going to get it from? Grandma or granddad has gone on, this day and time. Dad is not there, or uncle's not there. And a lot of times, it's not because dad didn't want to be there. Dad may have been teaching him in a different way. Dad may not have been in the household, but dad was out working. And what I mean by that is dad was out, he was showing him, I'm out working, coming home on the weekends because I was providing for my family at the same time also. Dad's job caused him, yes, to be out, to be away from home. Yes, mom raised the kids in the household, but dad was out making a living, bringing monies home, was providing for the family at the same time also. So we really have to really look at how this impacts and what we can do to stop this at this point in time also, because we don't want this to go on for generations after generations after generations. And we just have to come together and really put some programs in place at the same time. And I really think we need to hold the penal system accountable for a lot of this also. Just going back to something that you said earlier, the penal system, granted, the individual may get a certificate, while they're incarcerated, but why isn't there a program to work with the families, of this individual, instead of that individual going back to that same community, get involved in the same thing, working with the families? Okay, John is coming home in 6 months, if everything goes okay, how's the living condition here? What is it, that, the government or whoever can do to assist this individual? Churches, faith-based churches needs to step up their game also. We have to look at, okay, look at transitional homes instead of as alternatives. Instead of going home, okay, I don't want to get back into the same rut that I was in, running with my boys, out drinking, out smoking, getting high and everything. Okay, it may be a transitional home somewhere across town that's going to help me out there, that, at some point in time, I might can help moms or sister or brother out and moving them from out of that community, moving them out the way I am. So we really have to look at it as a whole right now.
Question about mental illness, about the healthcare safety net in the African American community. I mean, somebody has to really look at that, because preventative care is the key. And I found out if you don't address that with the whole family, I mean, where do we go in that community for just basic health care? To me, then mental illness can be seeked out very early. There could be could be family history. There could be something that happened, prenatal care. There could have been something, you know. You have to address this at an early age, and then, you know, because always they come up with, we treat that symptom with medication, you know. There could have been something way ahead of time that they could have identified early on. So I think healthcare is pivotal in our community, especially those that are in low-income communities. I mean, we had to put more pressure on the governments, you know, to provide basic health care, you know. And even to the point, like I said, faith-based communities, if you look up, you know, that could be the start there. Galvanize them to do health screens, things that we're going, my church, 2-3 doctors. Well, what are you doing when you ain't doctoring, making money? Why you ain't here doing blood tests? You know, we have elderly population. You know, maybe you could set up and have flu shots for us. You know, maybe you can bring somebody in. You know, we always, you know, look for the government to provide it, but I think we got enough doctors, lawyers, research people in. You can write a grant and get, you know, 200,000, maybe less than that, to just have a yearly clinic for the people in the community. You know, think about the 8th Street corridor, all the churches on there. Now it's regenified, you know.
Yes.
If you go down there, and then
We're not there.
we're not there, you know. But they're doing those things that should have, we've been there 50, 60 years that they're doing. They're having a health fair every week. They're having a festival every week. You know, they're doing all those things that we missed out. I mean, we're, you know, it comes back to us. Come back to us. If we can get those people together with the doctors, the lawyers, and all those people together and just say, hey, one weekend, can we do this in this one community? You know, I think those little things that you do, you know, little things you touch, somebody will touch the whole world. I think they will spread it worldwide.
And untreated mental illness, it prevents a person, in this case a man, from being able to manage his life. It also prevents him to obtain opportunities that he would have if he had his life, or was able to manage his life. It affects the community because that one person can impact the entire community in a positive way, but what happens, it often impacts the community in a negative way. So that's my piece on what happens with untreated mental health issues.
So now we want to talk about the suicide rate of African American men.
I had a young kid. He had some kids by my next door neighbor, and periodically I used to talk to him. He was also smoking PCP, and I used to talk to him a lot when I would come out and see him outside. They had a couple incidents where the police had to come there, but he was really a good kid. You know, I guess he was around about 23 or something, and he hung himself. He hung himself, and he really never got the help he needed. You know, and I used to try to point him in direction. You can come here, I'll give you a number, get this. And his thing was couldn't find a job, couldn't read too well. You know, he didn't, you know, these was all the reasons. But it was never really dealt with, the mental illness was never dealt with. And now you put PCP on top of it.
One, suicide is not the answer. You know, because what you do is, yes, you've taken yourself out, but if you have children, you know, the children is still there, left to suffer. Your parents, other family members are left to suffer, emotionally, spiritually, and financially. Because financially, you know, if you know, insurance companies don't pay for suicide. You know, so with that, you know, and so it really boils down to, as you said, you know, them getting the help that they need, from the beginning at some point, or catching it early intervention. And, with early intervention, at least, because an individual can also be thinking about it, having suicidal thoughts. You don't know if they have a plan in place or not. But one day you walk in your child's room and you see a note, saying you found a note. They already have it all dressed out. How they're going to do it, what they're going to do, and when they're going to do it. But with early intervention, with that, if we can, at least focus on that piece of it, getting the individual the help that they need, hopefully, because the suicide rate amongst African Americans has gone up, I would say within the last 20 years.
And why is that?
I really think, just mental health services in general, being stigmatized, that not the families are not dealing with it, or they're feeling that, okay, there's nothing wrong with Johnny Boy. He just going through, he broke up with his girlfriend or something like that. He lost his job. But, you don't know exactly, he may, one good reason or one good thing that you can tell when somebody is really contemplating is when they, if you have an active and a vibrant child, and eventually all of a sudden they start becoming depressed, withdrawn, not talking on the phone as much, not interacting with his buddies a whole lot, don't want to go. Those are early warning signs for you right there. Believe me, those are early warning signs. So if you have those signs, at least that's an opportunity for intervention right there. Seek the help at that point in time right there. Granted, and then, whatever else comes upon it from that point, and at least, you'll have a baseline from that point too. So, you don't want to come home one day and, just like you said, you found the boy was hanging in the bedroom or in the basement or something. That is very devastating for anybody. Having to witness or, to find their child, find their brother or sibling, So, early detection, early intervention, really is a key. And it's not always just medication. Providing medication. Okay, he's depressed. Let's give him you have to get to the root of it before you find out what's a contributing factor. That's say, okay, we're going to deal with your depression right now. But what's the contributing factor, and how can we best serve you at this point in time?
Because we're talking intervention, what if you have an individual that does not respond to the intervention that's been given to them? You're showing that you care, and you want to tap into whatever is causing them to go, but they don't respond to you. What do you do then?
It's not always you. You can't just rely on yourself at the same time too. Seek professional help. At some point.
You have to.
Because granted, we're going to treat our loved ones in a special way, in a way that we feel, in a nurturing way that we feel that they probably need. But if you seek the professional help that's going to get to the root of it, it may take a couple of times. It may not just be one time, 2 times. It may take, just like someone going through rehab. It could be 3, 4, 5, and 6 times before they really get it. And so you really have and if you can get with a company or get with an individual, and it's just like I said, it's not always about medication. There's a whole lot of holistic approaches. There's a whole lot of earthly ways of doing things also. But getting to that, sticking with it. Don't give up on the first time or the second time. Just keep plugging along and let it. But don't deny the individual the love and the nurturing. Yes, they're going to need that in conjunction with whatever professional help that they're getting on the outside too.
So since we're recording this, we're basically you're telling that loved one to pursue to the
Yeah.
fullest extent,
To the
and
fullest.
don't expect that individual to be doing it, but take the responsibility on their behalf.
Exactly.
Like intercession.
Exactly.
Because, you know, a lot of times they say, well, you need to go get this, you need to go do it. But then we need to know what the individual need
Right.
to do themselves to help that person, as
Exactly.
opposed to expecting them to go out. Because they're in a state where they're helpless, basically, at that point. You know.
And also, you know, a lot of individuals have suicidal ideations, thoughts of suicide. And also, you know, if a person, if a young man tells you he has these thoughts, and in my opinion, suicide is a decision, and it's a final decision. And that's something that and sometimes when you give them that kind of language, it's final. You decide. I had a client attempted suicide in the process of hanging, he changed his mind. He was able to get the rope or string, whatever, loosened. And he like, you know, I didn't realize that was going to be it for me.
Yeah.
So those kind of things, we have to sometimes play the whole tape to individuals and not give people just the milk and sugar, but give them give them the meat. This is what's going to happen. It's fine. And there's no coming back from it. You know?
Yeah, she went and that word again, denial.
Yes,
You know,
denial.
pride. Okay, all these things we need to, when it comes to dealing with all the stuff that we're dealing with,
Right.
you know, the mental illness, the suicide rate, and all these things. We got to get rid of all that other stuff, so that we're talking about intervention. We having these forums, but then afterward, what goes on?
That's
Because
right.
we hear a lot of talk.
Right.
You know, and no, it's not going to always be light for those that choose to step up to the plate.
Right.
Okay, but as you said, having a heart to do things, you know, having that compassion for others, you know, how much do we mean to each other?
That's right.
And
That's
to
right.
what degree are we willing to help one another?
That's right.
The love thing.
And another issue that a lot of our younger African American men are facing, and women too, is bullying.
Oh yes, that's
And
a
it's-
contributing
It
factor.
contributes to a lot of suicides and also suicidal thoughts.
Yes, it does.
Even on the college campus, this is going on. I had one young man, he had been bullied, he said he had been bullied every day in his like junior, senior year. Because he was light skinned, he was small, and they would throw balls at him, throw things at him every day. Even he was bullied, beaten up, stuff like that. And he was like 21 when the team I was working with engaged him, and he had always had these suicidal thoughts. And then he carried that all the way from high school up to the age of 21.
And you see, then, you know, and I'm just going to bring into the next subject. We're talking about them as far as the suicide, but how many of them have so much of this anger and hatred built up in them that has been an increase in our homicide rate?
Yeah, that's
Because right now,
real.
black men kill black men.
Yes, they do.
Yeah.
Suicide, homicide, the same neighborhood. You know?
Yeah, and it's almost like you killing yourself because you hate yourself so much. You hate everything that you represent. And I know from my experiences in my neighborhood, a lot of the young guys that I know kind of got caught up in that murdering stuff. I kind of remember them when they were young, and some of the stuff that they had to watch their moms go through. You know, they watched their father walk out on the family. They watched the older men in the neighborhood take advantage of their mother and be predators to the young kids. And when they got old enough, when they got enough strength in them, they started killing. You know, because they hated everything that represented. You know, and I could see where that would make any young man. Because a lot of people like, how could they be doing that to each other? But if you was in a house, a crack house, and you watched the moms get her food stamps that month, and the kids run around with Pampers that hasn't been changed in weeks, and as soon as the food stamps come, the mother go and buy crack with it, that little kid becomes an animal. I mean, the little kid becomes an animal. He's walking around in his own feces. He's not eating properly. He's watching his mother be a crack whore. In his mind, he hates everybody. He hates life. So automatically, I start relating to it, especially when I see it on the news. And I worked a lot with one of the biggest questions was posed to me by a young guy. I was working with a juvenile place. He said, well, Mr. John, how could you talk about God when my father OD'd, my mother's in prison, and now my grandma got arthritis? And he said, so don't tell me about God, because God don't like people like me. And that troubled my spirit. Even to this day, I did not know what to say to him, because how could I tell him, man, God loves you anyway, when he got all of these factors in his life that shows that it must not be nobody that loves him. That young man wound up shooting somebody, I think, like 17 times. Because it's almost like it's like you watch and you say, okay, this is when we start trying to show him that people do love him. But all the time, the next staff member come in and treat him like a doormat. He don't see you till next weekend again, and everybody treat him like a number. Like, okay, shut up, because this is how we gonna get a paycheck. You just need to do what we tell you to do. Nobody. It's like we have disposable people. That's what it comes down to. It's like we have disposable people that people use as a resource to get ahead, and they don't care anything about them. You know, they care about the middle class, the upper class. These people right here, we just use them as guinea pigs. This is where we put all the medication we experiment with. This is where we try all these experimental tests with. We don't care nothing about them. So what happens is that young man, he hates life. He hates everything about life. And he really hates us because we represent the people that left him. We represent the people that turned their back and didn't do anything to try to save them. So I understand a lot of people saying them young people don't have no respect for their elders. The elders didn't do anything for them. The elders didn't reach out to try to help them. The elders turned their back on them. They seen them when they was going to church on Sunday morning, and they looked the other way. So that's where that comes from. It's one of the strongest conversations I had was I was in the middle of my niece and my mom's. And my mom's had the idea that young people don't respect older people. And my niece had the idea that older people don't understand or try to get to understand younger people. They're impatient. They don't want to hear it. They don't trust them. And I was in the middle age, and I felt so strange about that. Because I could understand my mother's point of view, but I sure could relate to my niece's point of view. So what I understand is it takes sacrifice and obedience. That's what it takes. It takes somebody to go through, even though they feel indifferent, and put an arm around that young man like I try so hard to do. Just put my arm around.
But suppose it's an old man who has grown up from young, feeling that way. Now he's in his 30s and 40s. What can we do? He doesn't want you, maybe to put your arms around him. What other things, any comments on that? What can we think we can...
He wants to know what's your motive.
Right.
What's behind
it. Yeah, if you touch him, yeah.
That they will keep coming back. And I know you had that experience. Now they might not say it in their voice, they might not voice it, but you watch they keep coming back around you. And if you keep on being persistent, especially with that firm hand you was talking about, you're gonna get a breakthrough with those men. Especially if you've been persistent with your showing them love and talking to them firmly. They don't like games.
Right.
You can't come to them with that, oh dear, because they don't think it's a hidden motive.
Right. That's right.
But if you're firm and consistent, you'll break through.
And also, people are looking for a safe place to lay it out.
Yeah.
And they observe.
Right.
Yeah, they observe very
They come into your office. When they sit in the waiting room, they listen to your secretary or your administrative assistant, what she's talking about. Listen to see what the councils are talking about. They're observing the whole deal, And then if they find it's a safe place, eventually they will. Like the brother saying, they'll let it out a little bit at a time, So as agents of change, we have to make sure we doing what we're supposed to do. In churches, also people coming in, a lot of people go to church, leave church and go and kill somebody. They're looking for a safe place. People are looking for safe places.
They can trust.
You gonna say?
Yeah, basically, I just wanted to say, in regards to that, it really goes back because we have to meet them on their ground, on their territory.
Yes, we do.
You know, this generation, at least with this generation, I really think we have to meet them, you know, where they are. You know, they're not always going to come into the office. They're always going to meet me at the building. Okay, if we got to meet in the parking lot at the library or at the Advanced Auto, you know, we can talk right there, have a heart-to-heart, man-to-man talk right there. The motives, you know, yes, he's going to think, okay, what are your motives? What is it that you want? Brother, I don't want nothing. I just want your time. Just give me, if you can give me your time, couple of hours, couple of days a week, and that way, just like he said, being persistent and consistent, then he will see, he will realize, okay, hopefully, you know, then he'll see then that, you know, the brother, he's trying to help me, you know, and basically, you can't give up we can't give up at the same time. Also, you know, it may take 6 months before there's a breakthrough at some point in time. But knowing that, okay, if this brother sees you, okay, he's spending time, he's coming, okay, he never asked me to take him anywhere or to loan him anything, you know, he always asking about, you know, how my kids doing, how my family doing, or whatever, you know. When he sees that, he said, okay, then he's showing me at the same time, okay, this is how you do something, this is how you receive, you know, because it could just be a gift from God.
Okay.
I think what we touched on, very, very, very important, is how you effectively reach them. And my thing was communication. The medium now is different.
Yeah.
When we grew up, the medium was we could sit and talk.
Right.
You know, grandfather would pull you aside and tell you this. Your father would tell you this. Mother would tell you this. It's a whole different medium. And I found the whole thing in my church was you're not communicating with young people the way they communicate.
That's right.
If you can't text, you know, if you can't try with them on those grounds, you're going to get the wall put up. They ask me why they don't come back. They come 1 or 2 times and come back. Because you're communicating a whole different thing. They're on Facebook, Twitter, and all those things. Then you open up the communication. We have a problem in our church with the young men. We can't get them to do anything. Right, nothing, right. The ones that come, they just come and they sit there, eyes closed, and then after they run out the door. Right, they're made to come.
So they have to stay.
Right, and then you right on the GW campus, and those ones come. You know, we had to do this when I was at home. You know, so I'm here and there. It's a good show for mom and dad. I come once a month. You know, and then I go and talk to them. I say, well, you know, we need you to. You got a lot of skills. You can do websites and all that. You know, but you know what the best thing I found? If I text somebody, they text me right back. I can't even text them back quick enough. You know, so I said that this is the way we got to communicate. We got to communicate, like you were saying, John, to come on their level, meet them halfway, and then we'll be able to communicate. And I think in our community, like you say, black men they may not come here and sit down like we are sitting. The thing with the suicide crisis hotline, there has to be intervention hotlines set up in our community that communicates to African American males on those devices. If it's a communication devices on that, if there's music, they can do it. We have to be able to do those things. And as far as the family structure, I found out, even myself found out, that we have to go back to our heritage. The Africans, in their heritage, the family, the male was the chief unit.
That's right.
And we have to show them that some kind of way. You know, I have one brother that comes from South Africa. He is a choreographer, and he comes and actually got him to go to the school that we mentor. And he taught these young boys drumming. He calls it edu-dance. He's a dance choreographer. But education through dance, that's a form of expression that we may not even think about tap. But he said in Africa, you taught your heritage, you taught your dance. And from there, the beat replicates arithmetic. So he teaches, the teacher teaches the math lessons during the regular math class, and then after care, he comes in and teaches them doing drumming. And he teaches them how to, and I'm amazed. Last week we went to the program at the cathedral, and one of these young boys did a whole song. It was the school song, basically it was an operatic song, but he took and did a drum beat through the whole thing. This boy is 7 years old. It didn't miss a beat because he had that opportunity. So just communicating with them on a different level, and on their terms, I think we have to find that solution.
Hurt people hurt other people. And that if a person did hurt you, it's not nothing that you deserve. And it's not nothing that you have to be afraid to talk about. You have to be courageous sometimes. You have to find that courage to go inside to, to nurture that wounded child and begin to heal from those issues and to free yourself of that burden and free yourself begin to free yourself of that trauma. So those are some of the things I would tell a person.
It's because it's the makeup of the person too. Because the person, some people just got good hearts, some people got evil hearts. I mean, that's just a fact of life. And that's the spiritual part. But then the mental health issue, it come into play. Because those things are traumatizing that people in the projects and stuff think are normal. It's all right every night to hear gunshots. That's not normal. Right. It's not normal that you just see everybody fighting outside every day. You know what I'm saying? This is what triggers a lot of that mental illness. You know what I'm saying? Because you got to have some way to cope with that on a regular basis. And myself, I live in Virginia, and one of my close family members lived in D.C. And I've been going over there since I was 5 years old, spending summer with him, and he'll come over there and spend with me, right? Now, I thought we was doing, I didn't know that we was getting assistance and stuff when I was a kid, but we lived in houses. You know what I'm saying? They couldn't hang pictures on their walls because their walls were made of cement. You understand what I'm saying? They was fighting over there all the time. Serious stuff over where I lived at, I had a little dysfunction in the home, but it wasn't nothing serious like, that I would see over there on a regular basis. Whole families running out the house, engaging, it was different. It's dysfunction on a lot of different levels.
So if somebody gets used to that and then grow up in that home, and then as a man, they're in a relationship with a woman, they just think, if I get angry, I can slap her around because it's normal to them. It was normal.
It's an old saying. It's an old saying that usually hurt the one that you love, and the most, very much so. And with that, and if a man was abused in some way when he was a child, teenager, at some point in time, because it goes back. Remember. If they didn't receive no type of treatment for it, then it was always instilled in them. Okay, I just got to live with this for the rest of my life. And some point in time, as they became young adults, middle-aged adults, this day and time, folks are having breaks from, mental health breaks from issues that resulted from past incidents such as abuse. And if it was never dealt with then, and they saw the father and the mother going at it, or the uncle and someone, learned behavior. Learned behavior. I saw my father slap my mama against the wall. I'm gonna do the same thing too. I see my sister getting beat by her brother. Okay, I guess I'm supposed to beat my wife and child too. So, and if there's no intervention when he was a youngster at some point in time, then so he's going to carry that along with him. And if he doesn't, and if he has kids, his kids is going to see the same thing,
Same.
and if they don't have no intervention for them, hopefully,
Generation of
exactly, there's been a generation of curses on down the line. But if there's some type of intervention that was caught, I'm going to, this is going to be the generation that's going to break the cycle,
right?
So this is going to be the generation. So if I got to go seek help for myself, and I'm going to be the one. This has to stop here. It has to stop somewhere. So, we have to take onus of it because no one else is going to help us with this right now. So so we really have to step that up too. Yeah.
I think a lot of that was happening, especially back. It seemed like a lot of the older black guys were, and I don't know if it was the alcohol or what, but they were predators toward the family. And I think, especially like in my case, I grew up thinking that if you didn't argue and fuss with your wife or your woman, you didn't love her. They kind of made you thought that if you, it's almost like something I just was talking about. A partnership is consisted of two people, not one person controlling the whole partnership. It takes two people to be in a partnership. But we were taught that you gotta, dominate your woman and better not nobody talk. And a lot of the older guys, I saw that with, like my uncles, they would drink alcohol and be very abusive. So of course in my mind I thought a man's supposed to be abusive. So you grow up thinking that you're supposed to be domineering and aggressive, and if you don't be, won't nobody respect you, and you find out later on that's not true at all. And I think a lot of it was caused by alcoholism. A lot of it was caused with the mental illnesses that we didn't understand, never got treated. A lot of it, and mostly was caused because that's what happened to them. That's what happened to them. So even like when they talk about Jeffrey Dahmer and all the serial killers, something happened to them, and then they passed it on and just kept doing it to other people. So I think he said it right. It starts with that person, and I try to do that with my sons. Like, this is where we change. This is where the generations start changing. Y'all not going to be able to say that y'all saw me stay unemployed and beat my wife and stay on drugs and not do anything with my life. So if you're going to live by example, by my example, you're going to see that I worked hard and cared about the people that I love. I think it's effective we can have.
And, like, for myself, what I had to get some consistency before I could deliver, deliver that because, they'll look at it and say, well, okay, well, you only been doing that for a short period. You know what I'm saying? So it had to be consistency. Because, like, dealing with my daughters, like, basically, we still are trying to get that relationship there. You know what I'm saying? And it's been over 10 years since I've been working with addicts and doing, and all this, and it's been some time. You know what I'm saying? And it's just now there's some consistency. So what happens is that I have to be patient because it's called about repairing damaged relationships. You know what I'm saying? Me and their mom not together. So they don't. That's all they know. You're not with my mom. What happened? You know what I'm saying? Who cares how it happened? So like I'm slowly giving them the room now. Because in the beginning I wanted to, let's get together, let's do this, let's do that. But I'm learning that I had to give them some room. I got to give them some room. And I got to stay consistent too. So I still reach out. And I give them their room and let them come on their terms.
On the subject of sexual abuse and the release of African American males, there's a lot of the men entering the justice system, the criminal justice system, are often raped or sexual abuse in kind of way during their time in jail. And then these individuals return back to the community, not talking about that experience or trauma, and things happen in families and in communities because of what's going on in prison. And I think it's a lot of the episodes have been documented, but there's probably more that's not being documented. So the rate's probably real higher than what we know. Also, some of the conversations I've had with some of the individuals I work with in the jails is that they target older men now when they come in jail. Or more of the older men are a target, or a higher target than the younger men in the criminal justice system.
Least resistant.
And the respect issue. Yeah, we were talking about that today. We don't respect older people. Right? My opportunity to get back at
Yeah.
you. So that could be one of the pieces.
You can abuse.
So things change, man, and trying to make an abnormal situation normal. You know.
Conclusion, what I wanted to really say was, I'm just hoping that we just don't talk about stuff like this, but we become active in doing something about some of the things that we talked about. And that we continue to do some of the things like Lionel was talking about he's doing, and my other brothers on this panel is talking about that they're doing. Because I honestly do believe that the more people that we reach, at least one of them or a couple of them do the same thing in return and reach out to do some stuff for some others. I think it starts with us and it ends with us. I think the more we look for somebody on the outside to do something for us, the longer we stay stuck. I think as a family and as a community and as a population that we have to somehow bond together and allow our bonds to be stronger than anything that could tear us apart. So what I'm hoping that happens from this panel is that people become more acceptable of the fact that we have to do it. We cannot allow the presidents to do it. We cannot allow the politicians to do it. We as a people have to stand up together and assist each other and push each other forward.
I'd like to say in conclusion, in closing, for black men, we have to, like everybody in the room said, we have to do it ourselves. I truly believe success breeds success. So in that parting statement, success is not measured by the letters behind your name, by the degrees that you have, and the plaques you have on the wall. Success is measured by the love in your heart. And if you love your fellow man, black, white, Asian, Caucasian, you would be doing the right thing. But definitely in our community, we need to see men raise up. In term men, I'm not talking 50, 60, 70. 20 years old, you can be a man.
That's right.
You can show us in your actions.
That's right.
You get a job, you go to school, and you do the things that you're supposed to do for your family and demonstrate to those around you. And that is what a man is. Right now, we gripe with the thing is, I'm a man because I've gone so far in life. I did this in life. And that's not it. It's what you do behind you, those people behind you, the ones you can reach out to and help them. And like I say, it's not about, it's a given that you go back. You start with your family, your brothers, your sisters. You don't have brothers and sisters, it's your nephews, you know, the neighbor next door to you, son. Do things with those young men that are going to carry them on to life. Basic little things, you know, as reading a book, sitting down, walking down the street, just showing them nature, show them what life is about, will give them a great lesson in life. Life is short, so what we put in is what we get out. And what we as African American men have seen around us is not what we want life to be. So in parting, all I want to say is this. Each one of us has a critical role to play in this. So it's not me, it's not about me, it's not about John, it's not about Randolph, it's about you. Look inside yourself, find that person that you are, and there's help out there. We're there for you. Every man in the community should be there for each other. And the people that did this for me.
That's
This is excellent. You know, it's not measured by numbers; it'll be measured by results.
That's right.
From this. And thank you so much.
For my final statement, I would just like to say that the gift is in the giving. You know, if you're giving, you're already successful. You're already blessed if you're able to give, even of yourself. You're already successful. I just thank God that He gives another chance. You know, so a lot of those who are struggling, if you're older, it's not over. If you're listening to this, it's not over. You got a shot. You know, so it's all about loving yourself. You know, giving yourself a break. You know, taking some information from someone else that maybe, just maybe, you can change. Because it happens for a lot of people. And why can't it happen for you? You're worth something. You know, so that's my message, is to tell you to love yourself and know that you're worth something. And change some of those belief systems. You know, like that if you got emotions, then you're a sucker. And stuff like that. That's not the truth. We've been told a lie for so long that we believe the lie and we start living the lie. You know, so my final statement is just about a personal commitment to loving yourself a little more. You know, because you are worth something. Just give yourself a chance, and God will do the rest.
Randolph, and I want to thank the organizers of this event, this discussion, and I hope that the brothers and the sisters that were in this discussion, that we leave here today more equipped to go back to our communities and to our families to assist. We live in a time and a place where we have high incarceration rates, we have high homicide rates in the black communities, we have a problem with sexual abuse, unemployment skyrocketing, underemployment. We have all kinds of problems in our communities, in our families. But there is a solution, and the solution begins with us. But we have to reach down into ourselves and go into our souls, each of us as individuals, and find out what went wrong. What can we do to heal ourselves? What can we do to be contributors to our communities, to our families? In the Bible, it says, "He who the Son has set free is free indeed." So we have to free ourselves. We have to begin to love ourselves. So I challenge all of us, and myself, that we begin to take that journey into our souls, to find out what went wrong, and seek the assistance from trained or individuals in the church, people that are safe, that we can share with, we can discuss our problems with, and they can help us to develop a plan, and then we begin to approach that plan. But we don't have to live in a life of despair. There is hope for the hopeless. So let's begin that journey. Now is the time, and here is the place that we begin to take our communities back, we begin to take our families back, and we begin to take our lives back. Ashe.